From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, if there was ever an embodiment of United States car culture and the reality of United States car culture, it would be the Chrysler Town and Country. You know how, like, Columbia is the supposed embodiment of the United States? I would disagree with that. I would say the embodiment of the United States is the Chrysler Town and Country. No child of the United States has grown up in a world where they have not seen, rode in, or owned a Chrysler Town and Country. They're everywhere. Well, at least they were everywhere. The Chrysler Town and Country is even in our media. This car is so good at its job. Its job is you grab the shifter on the dash, you shift it to wherever you want, and the car goes forward. And it does it better than any other minivan out there. I experienced this car a lot in my childhood because that's the car that my grandparents drive. Somewhere, every night, back when we lived in Florida, now that I moved back to Florida, I was driven in a Chrysler Town and Country like a 2006 to family dinner on Sunday every single night. And I remember that car thoroughly. I would sit in the seat, I would look outside, and I could see the ground moving from the corner of the door. Like, I could look out the seam of the door, and I could see the pavement moving. That's how bad that car was. But, hey, you want to know what? We bought it like 90 million years ago, and that car still drove no matter what we did. It can survive mom's erratic driving, dad's angry pedal-to-the-metal flooring, and grandma's slow Sunday driving. It is a car that will withstand literally whatever you throw at it and still turn on and turn over when you turn that key. And for Chrysler, the company that made it, it was a huge success. The ideal family vehicle. Families looked at the Town and Country and said, you want to know what? I've got me and my partner and are raising these kids together. But, you know, we could use some more support. And that's what the Town and Country was. Just something that you don't have to worry about. Something that can always be there for you when you need it. When you're dealing with difficult things, like moving or raising children. It's essentially just a helper. And people felt great connection to this car. They loved the Town and Country. They loved their Town and Country. And they loved their car, Town and Country. It was perfect. I love the Town and Country. And most Americans do, because this is, again, the embodiment of what car culture is. The car culture in the United States isn't a bunch of luxury German sedans, like every single car YouTuber may make it out to be. It's rural towns, rural areas, the vast from sea to shining sea. This, the Town and Country, your average everyday American cars and Japanese cars like the RAV4 Corolla and Camry that keep the country running. This is what the car scene in America is. Not anything German or fancy or Porsche. Not that. This is where it's at. And that's a good thing. Until the talking bobbleheads of FCA finally decided the Town and Country, a minivan that's been selling well for several generations, a minivan that has defined the industry, a minivan that created the industry, let's kill that and bring back another minivan called the Pacifica. The name Pacifica comes from this ugly thing that was produced between 2004 and 2008, the Chrysler Pacifica. It was a family crossover and a product of the SUV era, similar to the Subaru Tribeca, just this weird little sea urchin thing. It had this weird it's like the embodiment. If the Chrysler Town and Country is the embodiment of America, this interior is the embodiment of geometry. It was just this ugly, weird thing. Our family owned one for a little bit. We walked up to the used car dealership. We said, "Give me a car," and they gave us this, and it was terrible. Well, it was my grandparents again. They were Chrysler people, Mopar family, but not good, And they looked at this. Chrysler looked at this and said, "You want to know what? Let's bring that back." If you just look at the transition, something doesn't make sense. First of all, they brought back the name of a Pacifica in an era where minivans were failing. Think about that. They turned the Pacifica a family crossover, which if they had brought back as a family crossover would have been significantly popular than any of their minivan lineup during the time period, which is really just the weird time that we lived in. They chose that nameplate of a family crossover and turned it into a minivan, a class of cars that they knew were failing, to replace a minivan, which was essentially the only minivan that was selling well during this time period. So essentially, Chrysler replaced their best-selling minivan with another minivan with the name of a family crossover. The family crossover, which would have been more popular in the time period where they replaced the best-selling minivan with the other minivan with the name of the crossover. Doesn't that seem a little bit weird to you? Like, a little bit like, why? It was like a game of hot potato, just who could drop the Town and Country fastest. Why? Do you know how many auto companies during this time period would have killed to thought of the Town and Country? This was a minivan that with each new generation nearly guaranteed sales as long as Chrysler didn't screw it up. And somehow, some way, just this magical world of Chrysler, they figured it out. They figured out how to kill the Town and Country, kill their reputation, and kill the long lineage of minivans. I really don't know how they did it. So why? Why exactly would Chrysler kill off the Town & Country and replace it with the Pacifica? They killed the Town & Country for the steaming pile of bile that was the Chrysler 200. Guys, let's get it together here, okay? Can we just, I know I say this every single video when I talk about Chrysler. Can we just figure it out? Can we just not act stupid for 2 minutes and act reasonable on some issue just sometime? I mean, it's ridiculous. For the recklessly stupid people running Chrysler at the time, it made sense that, after the Chrysler identity crisis caused, and I can't stress this enough, by the PT Cruiser, Chrysler didn't really know what it was doing. The sales were falling, people didn't know what Chrysler was anymore. So they said, you want to know what? They looked at the Dodge Dart, they looked at that steaming pile of shit, and they said, that looks like a Chrysler. And they made it the 200. They said, you want to know what? Let's make more of those, and let's make it a Chrysler. And not only is that a Chrysler now, let's delete the minivan that has saved Chrysler several times before during the financial crash. Get rid of that thing. Just move over and bring in the Pacifica, a family crossover so unliked it only was made for 4 years. Let's bring back that hideous name, beast, and monster. Let's call it, the new minivan by Chrysler, and this is the lineup right here. This old duo of the Regal 300, American muscle, all the American history with the 300, and then, the Town & Country. These cars with this design language, get out of here. These are just stupid, crap, reliable. Get rid of all that bullshit and replace it with this new corporate plastic cheap shit. So yes, one of the main reasons why the Chrysler Town & Country was killed was because Chrysler wanted to favor the 200 and the new Chrysler over the old Chrysler in all of Chrysler's history. You want to know why? I don't even know why. They are genuinely clueless. Alright, well, here is the year's sales data. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm compiling the years of the Town & Country versus the years of the Chrysler Pacifica. So these two cars, even though the years are different, it's the first model year, the second model year, and then so on and so forth. So we're essentially comparing the sales of each vehicle, side by side, even though they're different years based off of how long they were produced. So for the 2008, the first model year of each car, the Pacifica sold slightly more than the Town & Country. Boom, success. For the Chrysler Town & Country for the second year, the Pacifica sold more. And then it kind of flushes down the toilet. The Pacifica was cool for about 5 minutes when people thought, oh, it's new, it's Chrysler. And then when Chrysler stopped updating it, they lost hope. This new model of Chrysler died. They canceled the 200. It stuck out like a sore thumb among the 300. Sales plummeted, and then the Chrysler Town & Country proceeds to beat it in the third model year, the fourth model year, the fifth model year, the sixth model year, the seventh model year. Only the 8th and 9th model years are different because the Chrysler Pacifica was slightly updated. The dead horse twitched a little bit, so people went back on to kicking it. Again, the Chrysler Pacifica may have sold better in the short term, but the Chrysler Town & Country sold well over a long period of time. Sure, the sales, weren't great during some time periods, but I'm sure if they would have just left it alone, or even better, facelifted it, or came out with a new one, which is really what they needed to do, it would have sold even better than the Pacifica would have. And these numbers, I believe without a shadow of a doubt, show it. Now, there is some difference in acceptance of minivans and the time that they were sold, but it's not great enough to sway the numbers enough to make the findings not accurate, if you know what I mean. Also, by the way, the president of FCA, Fiat Chrysler, keep the word Chrysler in your mind, Automotive said that the Chrysler 200 was not up to snuff. So even the petulant children up running Chrysler didn't even like this car, and yet they killed one of their most popular cars just to make way for this. For the new Pacifica, the New Deal. Are you kidding me? But if you're like me, you'll notice that some things in my argument aren't adding up. First of all that we've proved so far in the video is that the Chrysler 200 inspired the design of the Pacifica, and that when the Chrysler Town & Country died, they replaced it with the Pacifica to match with the new 200, which was a success over the 300, I will admit that. But what doesn't make sense is, why did the Chrysler Town & Country need a replacement? If it was this minivan, if it was the embodiment of America, why really did Chrysler need to fix it? If it was good already, why would they fix something that wasn't broken? What was the underlying issue here that caused the Town & Country to die originally before they replaced it with the Pacifica in that era of Chrysler, which is the Dark Ages? This is the entire reason this crash test alone killed the Town & Country. Look at it. It was the worst thing to happen to the Town & Country since Chrysler killed it. If you're a minivan, if you're a family choosing a minivan, that's going to hold your kids. One of the most important things is safety. This video alone killed the Town and Country. The overall idea that killed the Chrysler Town and Country, if it could be, boiled down to a vague idea, would be that it was old. This generation was designed in 2006, then produced in 2007, I believe, for the 2008 model year, and by 2016, it was showing its age pretty heavily. Chrysler, this is going to be painful for me to admit, but I understand why they replaced it with the Pacifica. The Pacifica was the name of a semi-popular crossover, even though it didn't do well, and it was a total piece of crap. Anyway, they replaced it with the Pacifica and the 200 because the 200 sold well, better than the 300, and they assumed that because of that market shift, that the Pacifica would sell better than the Town and Country. But I would say the specific thing that killed the Town and Country, as I just said, is that crash test. Families looked at that and they said, wow, that's not good. Chrysler could no longer proclaim this vehicle as a safe car. Now, the test, there's a little bit of context here. That test, the frontal overlap crash test, was not widely used on minivans during that time. I believe that was the first time that minivans had ever been subjected to that test. So it makes sense why the Chrysler Town and Country wouldn't do well. In fact, another minivan, it was just horrible. The Nissan Quest, that's my least favorite car ever to ever be made. That thing is hideous. It's hideous, it's disgusting, it's ugly, it's disgusting. That car did even worse than the Town and Country. So it saved it a little bit. But, Chrysler, man, they're really having issues there. And that's why they replaced it with the Pacifica. So now I'm going to glaze the Town and Country for just a little bit, and then we can end the video. America has a lack of heroes. We have the Pizza Hut buildings, and that's about it for our cultural identity. And for the car culture scene in America, the Town and Country is crucial to just giving people a sense of what America is. Truly, I truly mean that. This is a sincere statement. And now the Chrysler Town and Countries are slowly, one by one, being picked off the road. Because these cars get used. These aren't like other minivans. The, Toyota Sienna will live a very long life. It'll be bought by some family with all-wheel drive. They'll use it for a little bit. They'll want a Honda Odyssey. They'll sell it. A second-hand family will buy it, and they'll use it just as if it was brand new, 3 years used. They'll use it for 10 years. They'll sell it. Some other family will pick it up and use it for another 2 years in between while they're looking for another vehicle, and then they'll sell it. And then it'll be bought by a daycare agency who will maintain it very poorly, but maintain it enough to keep it on the road. Chrysler Town and Countries don't get that kind of treatment. They get used. They get used by families who floor them. They get used by, people who buy them just because they want a car. If you go to your average, daily used rural Florida car dealership, it will be flooded with these Town and Countries. So I'm sad to say, but I think the children that are growing up now will grow up in a town and countryless world. And when I grew up in the late 2000s, early 2010s, I had a lot of interactions with the Town and Country. These were the two Chrysler Town and Countries that I saw the most growing up. It wasn't my grandmother, my great-grandmother's Town and Country that she would drive us to Sunday dinners in, that was so poorly taken care of that you could see the ground through the rust in the door panel when I'd sit in the in the back seat. And then our landlord had this 2003 Chrysler Town and Country, and I always liked the wheels of that, the black one, the pancake wheels. I always hated the shiny chrome silver wheels. I thought they looked like crap, but I really liked that other Town and Country. I grew up with the Town and Country. My grandmother, not my great-grandmother, she worked for, she helped disabled people in several houses across Florida, and the van that they would always use to take them on, camping trips and to work and stuff like that would be Chrysler Town and Countries. I have lived around these vans a lot. And I'm glad that I got to have the experiences with them that I did, even though that I was a product of the Honda Odyssey, which was our personal family hauler poison of choice at this time period. And you want to know what? There's a lot you can say about the Chrysler Town and Country, but when my great-grandmother died in 2020, she still owned that van. And when we were clearing out her house and clearing out everything, I sat in that car, I turned the key knowing that she hadn't been driving for about 2 years, and the engine started. That is something that I cannot say about a lot of other minivans. And even though that Chrysler Town and Countries don't last as long as Toyota Siennas or Honda Odysseys, they last decently long. When's the last time that you've seen a Nissan Quest? Though, you know how some, Dankpod said this, you know how some movies go straight to DVD and some, e-waste products go straight to landfill? The Nissan Quest, it goes straight to junkyard. It doesn't even get bought by multiple people. But yeah, the Chrysler Town & Country is alive in our hearts, and I think we all know the impact that it had on American society and American car culture. No one really ever hated the Town & Country, like the PT Cruiser or the Toyota Prius. There was no, car enthusiast with a strong opinion of the Town & Country, because the Town & Country is so agreeable. It's hard to hate something that doesn't have any hate. You know what I mean? It's hard to have such strong opinions about something that doesn't have any opinions at all. So no one really messed with this thing. Everyone experienced it, and everyone can agree that, well, it may not be a great car on the outside. You can read the pamphlet, you can look at the features, you can be cynical, you can look at the engine, you can say, that engine was crap, this transmission was crap, that was a crap car, these cars were crap, I hated these cars. You want to know what? At the end of the day, until you've rode in one, until you've lived in one, until you've seen, that Town & Country, going to the rural, Florida car dealership, saying, hey, what do you got? They show you a rusted out Town & Country, and you say, I don't even know, I think it was from, like Michigan. It was weird that, Florida. And they show you that was the difference between owning a car for her and not owning a car, because she had been out of work for a little bit. It's a great car. They're great cars. I'm glad that I got to make a video about it. Keep this video on my catalog. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And tell me what you think about the Chrysler Town & Country in your comments. Because there's a lot of people that daily drive these and that love them. And I don't blame them. All minivans are great, but especially the Chrysler Town & Country. And you want to know what? The Chrysler Town & Countries may not get treated well, but at least they don't get treated as poorly as the Dodge Grand Caravan, which surprisingly stayed around until 2020, despite the crash tests. Because conveniently, again for Chrysler, this shows the mindset that they were in. When they did the crash test, they only used a Chrysler Town & Country. And they talked about the Dodge Grand Caravan, but it didn't really set into buyers how similar they were. So that got to stay around for a few extra years. Meanwhile, the Chrysler Town & Country got the axe and got its head chopped off nearly instantaneously. Alright, well, thank you for watching. Goodbye.